everyone, I'm back. Welcome to my haunted library. It's Regina. I am reading a lot of haunted stuff this month. I'm currently reading I've just finished one, 4 horror stories that I will talk about in my June wrap up. But as a lot of you other readers know, sometimes you start out within perfectly good intentions to read one thing or follow your TBR by the letter, and then you get caught up in other things, and before you know it, you're reading 5 different books at once, which is definitely happens to me all the time. So I was thinking about archetypes, and the trickster archetype kept coming up, and so naturally I thought about Loki from Norse mythology. And that got me back to reading one of my all-time childhood favorite books, Norse Gods and Giants. The illustrations alone in this book are just stunning. And I think even before I learned how to read, my older sister would get this out of our public library, and I learned the stories through the illustrations, and then I would read them as I learned how to read. But I just, oh my gosh, like we see the Valkyries pulling up the soldiers from the battlefield with Odin riding his 8-legged steed to Valhalla. One of my favorite characters of all time is Loki. Now, some people might know Loki from I think it's the Marvel comics, but I really know him from this book, and I love the way he's depicted in this book. He is that trickster character. You have all these different worlds in this story, and Loki lives in Asgard with the Aesir gods. He's blood brothers with Thor, who is Odin's son, and Odin is like the almighty god. He's kind of like Zeus, although Zeus feels a lot like a combination of Odin and Thor. Once in a while, you see these beautiful Jotun characters, and Loki's one of them. Loki is handsome, and he is kind of like gender fluid in a way. Like he's a shapeshifter. He can become a male, he can become a female. He doesn't mind taking on the female role. In fact, he does it very humorously in a lot of these myths. He becomes an animal. One of my favorite myths is when he turns himself into a flirtatious mare in order to entice a Jotun's horse away from building this wall. If he finishes the wall in a certain time, he gets to marry one of the goddesses. I believe it's Freya, and the most beautiful goddess. And she doesn't want to do that, so Loki comes up with a plan, and he seduces the old horse. Later, Loki not only seduces the horse as a horse, but he also gets impregnated, and it's very humorously told in the story. Loki comes out of the woods one day with this 8-legged steed that becomes Odin's flying horse. So Loki is able to work within these different worlds the way a trickster character does. And he and Thor are great foils for each other. And if you're ever doing for writers, if you're ever doing like a buddy story, or you want to create 2 great characters who are kind of opposite working together, those 2 are great to look at, because Thor is very hot-headed and impetuous and strong, but he's not clever the way Loki is. He lives in Asgard, but he also is part of the underworld, where he has this monstrous wife with these 3 monster children who come into play during the great battle Ragnarok, and when all the Aesir gods, including Loki and Thor and all of them, are destroyed. That's all I have for today. I'd love to know what your favorite children's books are, so please comment below. And just as a little addendum to this video, I wanted to thank Paul at Paul Reads for reading and reviewing my horror book called Black Magic, an occult thriller. Here is a copy of it. I was not expecting him to read it, and I was really thrilled that not only did he read and review it, but that he liked it. So thanks, Paul. That's really sweet. I'm new to BookTube and AuthorTube, so that really made me feel welcome to the community. We'll see you next time in my haunted library. Bye.